Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. We have a great show coming up covering our staff's top picks. So we asked everyone on our staff to select a couple of different trips that they really enjoy, that they like going out on and having the experience on those trips. And then a handful of my selections as well incorporated on this. So it covers everything from domestic trips to international, our river cruises, as well as our holiday tours. So it's a pretty well-rounded show with everything in between. Now, as we get through, just a couple of points I wanted to make in terms of who we are and what we do at AFC Vacations is that we do offer worldwide tours and cruises. So a lot of variation in our travel styles, and our most popular tours are our Unpack Once trip, and that settles into one hotel for your entire stay. But whether it's our European river cruise charters, our train tours, both in the US as well as over in Europe, and our land tours throughout Europe, a great variety there. What's included with an AFC tour? First and foremost, you can see round-trip airfare shown in our brochure, and that goes out every 2 months with updates. And you can select your gateway, and that gives you the exact pricing for your trip. Now, we also provide some great guarantees, one of which is our guaranteed departures. And what that means is you'll see the symbol GD throughout the show and through our brochure. And that trip means it is guaranteed to operate. We have enough passengers on those dates to get that out the door. Now, as the year progresses, we'll see more and more of those dates going to guaranteed status as we move closer to the fall. And then we do have guaranteed pricing. What that means is once you put your deposit down on a trip, your price is locked in. So even as fuel prices change, as we're hit with surcharges from our partner companies, that doesn't get passed on to you. And that's what you can expect with the AFC. We also have our highly valued home pickup airport service, and we pick you up at your door, take you to the airport, and bring you back as part of the trip experience. And it simplifies a lot of the process in planning your trip. So as long as you're within 40 miles from your gateway, we pick you up, take you to the airport, and bring you back. If you're beyond that 40-mile radius, there is a supplemental charge, but just wanted to put that out there. And then if you choose to make your own way to the airport, if you use Uber or Lyft or share a ride with friends or family, we provide a home pickup credit of $100 off per person from your final payment. So great way to travel with us, make it simple, or get that discount as well. What the company really stands for at AFC is real people and real service. And we've been providing that service since 1982. So can't believe 43 years in the travel industry. A great association, and we are part of the USTOA. That is the United States Tour Operators Association, and we are covered under a $1 million Travelers Assistance Program. So that definitely benefits you, and I always recommend people booking with a company under the USTOA. We have a number of great offers and values to our travelers. First, for 2025 and going into 2026 is our risk-free deposits. And what that means is if you had to cancel your trip up until final payment, there's no loss to you. You get a featured travel credit for any cancellation fee, deposit, or travel insurance. So it really is a great time to book with us. That risk-free deposit means you don't lose anything up front. It gets transferred to a future travel credit. Our Travelers Club is our loyalty program. And so if you book a trip with us and a second tour within 18 months, that second trip is automatically receiving a $100 loyalty credit. You can always check with our staff when you do book, make sure you get that, but it's applied automatically. And then our Refer a Friend credit. So our company started as a very small unit in Southern California and San Diego, and people spread the word about who we are and what we do and how good their experiences were on AFC tours. And now we have travelers from coast to coast, from San Diego to Washington, D.C., and everywhere in between. So if you do tell your friends and family members about our trips, if they take a trip with us using your name, your next tour, once they've traveled, is $100 off. So this is all combinable. And then our early booking savings is a great way to save money by paying your final payment by check and being one of the first people to book on a trip. So within the first 20 clients to book on a specific departure date, you can save up to $100 off on domestic and international trips, and up to $75 off for the 21st through 40th passenger to sign up. Now, this doubles when it comes to our European river cruises, so it's up to $200 off per person. Again, being one of the first to book definitely pays, as well paying your final payment by check. Getting into some of our great departures, the mystery tours are our operations manager Delta's favorite trips, primarily because it allows some creativity on her part and partnerships with our tour directors and tour managers in coming up with these great itineraries. And she's done a stunning job throughout the years providing these wonderful itineraries and destinations that weren't off the top of your head in most cases. So many people think of the big cities and the big destinations that are on everybody's bucket list, but there's some really unique areas and spots to travel to throughout the United States as well in international parts. We do have an international mystery tour that's coming up August 17th, and so that is guaranteed. And we have departures on our mystery tours that are guaranteed through October. As the year extends as well, we anticipate the November and December mystery trips going to that status. And these are some wonderful short trips, about 5 days and 4 nights in length, and very great value, but some really fun itineraries. And that's all thanks to Delta, and she does a great job on those. We also have our $50 off for the first 40 clients on that as a cash early booking savings for our mystery tours. And they're much lower cost than a lot of other trips. So $22.99 for the most part per person double. So really great experience at a low cost. One of our air department picks from Dave Robertson, and I'm sure a number of you have talked to him over the years, is our brand new North Carolina and the Outer Banks tour. And this one departs September 10th. It's a brand new trip for us. And what we do on this tour is we'll fly into Raleigh. So it's round trip air into Raleigh, North Carolina. And then we'll work our way southeast down to Atlantic Beach. We'll do a Raleigh city tour. You'll get to see the Tryon Palace as well as the birthplace of Pepsi. So it's a little pharmacy where it was first created, the recipe for it. And it's a really interesting stop. We'll also enjoy an Inner Banks lunch cruise as we explore the coastline. And then we'll work our way up to the north along the coast and the number of beautiful little islands that stretch out from Beaufort up to Nag's Head. One of those is Roanoke Island, and we'll also incorporate a stop at Fort Raleigh. So some great history there. And speaking of history, we'll see the Wright Brothers National Memorial, learn all about the history of flight from the time of creation. And then coming into Nag's Head is where we'll spend 3 nights, and that'll be a great base to visit the northern coast and all the different inlets and waterways there. But one of the biggest highlights on this trip is our off-road nature safari, and that's where we board small vehicles out and about into nature. We'll get out on the beaches as well as into some of the outskirts and get to search for those beautiful wild horses and a number of other species out on the North Carolina coast. So this one is September 10th. It's 8 days in length, and we incorporate 12 meals. So all of our breakfasts and a number of dinners. Now, one of the trips that's been so successful for us over the years is our Savannah and Charleston tour. Now, not only are those 2 cities incorporated, but also 2 nights in Jekyll Island. And that's a big highlight. But these 2 trips on October 24th, which is already guaranteed, and November 7th are a wonderful opportunity to see the southeast coast of America. And we'll fly into Charleston to start. We'll spend 2 nights in the beautiful city of Charleston near the historic district and get to do a city tour of Charleston. And you'll see the Battery Park with its beautiful pineapple fountain, as well going up to Middleton Place. And that's a gorgeous estate. It was home of one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, as well the location for some of the filming of the movie The Patriot with Mel Gibson. Then we'll continue south. We'll stop in Beaufort, South Carolina, and it is just a beautiful little town out on the coastline. And that's where we'll do a carriage ride, horse-drawn carriage ride, seeing some of the beautiful mansions as well as the waterways. And then continuing into Savannah. This is a great city, a wonderful experience to take in, and we'll spend 2 days there, or 2 nights, with the city tour. We'll also get to see the beautiful mansions as well as the public squares that were incorporated into Savannah's history. So really great experience as we travel through Savannah. And then we'll head out to St. Simon's Island, and this is part of the Georgia Gulf Islands. It's home to a beautiful church called Christ Church, dating to the late 1800s. And then we also get to see the lighthouse and beautiful white sand beaches out there. And then arriving into Jekyll Island, and this was the home of the rich and famous in the late 1800s and early 1900s, as it was originally a hunting club. In that process, we'll stay at the resort itself, which was built up over the years and is an absolutely wonderful spot to stay with all sorts of great amenities. We'll do an island tour where we'll get to see the beautiful mansions of the wealthy, like the Pulitzers, the Rockefellers, and the Goodyears, all had homes there, and that was their escape from the big city. And then we wrap up with a wonderful dinner at the Jekyll Island Resort to finish this tour out. So I was talking to a couple of passengers who've done this trip in the last couple of years, and they're ready to go again because they enjoyed it so much. So I hope you'll take a look at this trip and sign up for either of the 2 departures for 2025 left. Now, one of my favorite tours to run, and I've said this numerous times, is the Black Hills and Badlands trip. And as we work our way west, we get to see some beautiful national parks as well as preserved land. And so we'll fly into Rapid City, and this is a great Unpack Once tour. So we get to settle into one hotel right in the city center. And I believe it was the Holiday Inn. I think it's converted into a DoubleTree, but a great property right in the city center and easy to walk around the streets of Rapid City. Now, this is known as the City of Presidents, not only because it's near Mount Rushmore, but also because on each of the corners of Rapid City, there's a statue to one of the presidents with all sorts of description about their time in office. We'll work our way out to Mount Rushmore twice on this tour, once in the daytime, and then we'll come back in the evening for the illumination ceremony. And that's when a park ranger talks about the entire mountain's development, how it was constructed and carved out of the mountain, and also the individuals who were involved. And then they unveil the mountain under the lights. You can't see it up until that point, so it's a really incredible sighting to see it under the lights in the dark. Then we'll head off to Crazy Horse Memorial, and this is quite a project. It's almost 100 years since it began, but it's continuous work on this amazing structure out in the Black Hills. So we'll get a chance to see the Crazy Horse Memorial and stop at the visitor center there. And then one of the days we'll work our way out to Badlands National Park. And this is just a stunning stretch of open geology. This was actually originally a jungle at one point in time, and incredible sightseeing that we'll get to see as we travel. A number of geological layers that are on display there, so you can see all the different colors in the soil and learn about those. And then we'll stop at Fort Hays, and that's where we do a chuck wagon supper and show. And that's actually where the movie Dances with Wolves took place. So a lot of the filming was there on site. We head into Wyoming for a day. We'll stop in Deadwood and learn about the Wild West history, and then head off to Devil's Tower in Wyoming. And that's a great site with the monolith down in the bottom right corner. Then we also head off to the Mammoth site in the south, and it is a beautiful area of preserved bones and structures from the mammoth that were originally in that territory. Now, I always tell folks that my favorite part of this entire trip is Custer State Park. And that's where we board the Buffalo Jeep Safari. We take these Jeeps out into the plains of the park itself, and there's over 1,000 head of buffalo roaming out in this park. And so we get close while being safe in the vehicle and get to learn all about the species from the drivers and guides. So really wonderful program. June's already sold out. We still have some availability on the August 13th and September 10th departures. And if you haven't done this tour, or if you haven't been to South Dakota, there's so much to see. And this is just a really wonderful program with those. Now, Samantha in our groups department selected our Southwest National Parks tour. And this one hits some incredible national parks as well as viewpoints along the way. And how this tour works is one departure, September 21st. It is already guaranteed, so space is starting to get limited on this. We'll fly into Las Vegas, and Vegas is a fun city. I like starting here because then you work your way into the natural beauty after you get to see the casinos. But for those who like to gamble, you do get a chance to spend some money either at the tables or the slots. And then we work our way over to the Grand Canyon, and we'll see Grand Canyon West and the beautiful Skywalk. And so you'll get a chance to walk out over the glass paneled walkway that stretches out over the Grand Canyon itself. So getting really incredible views from that. Then we'll work our way up to Mesquite, and that'll be our hub for 3 nights. And that's also connected to a casino. And from Mesquite, we'll work our way up to 2 of the most popular national parks in our nation's system. And that is Bryce National Park with all of its beautiful hoodoos pictured in the bottom right corner, as well as Zion and this incredible valley with amazing geology there as well. And this is where you can see some great natural wildlife all throughout the park itself. In the Las Vegas area, we'll also incorporate a stop at the Mob Museum as well as the Hoover Dam. So shorter trip, 6 days and 5 nights, 8 meals included, heading out September 21st. Now, this is another one of my favorite programs that we offer, and I've run it a number of times in the past. It's our Great Trains and Grand Canyons trip with 5 nights in Sedona. And there is no better location, I think, to spend 5 nights than surrounded by the beautiful Red Rocks, as well making these quick trips out to the surrounding areas. So the first day we'll get to see Sedona, uptown, as well as the area of Tlaquepaque. And that is a Mexican-style village with all sorts of great art galleries. And that's going to be part of our trolley tour that we do. And we'll take the trolley also up to the Chapel of the Holy Cross. And it's a beautiful church built up into the Red Rocks. And then from there, we do a day trip up to the Grand Canyon. We'll drive through Oak Creek Canyon, and that's one of the most scenic stretches in America, up to the top of the plateau and over to Williams. And once we arrive in Williams, we'll board the Grand Canyon Railway. And this is a historic rail route and rail car that we take up to the south rim of the canyon. It's about a 2.5-hour ride. And once we arrive at the canyon or at Bright Angel Lodge, we'll walk through the lodge and out to the back to the canyon itself. And you'll have some free time to enjoy the canyon sightseeing as well, grab some lunch there. Then we work our way along the canyon, heading towards Flagstaff. We'll make another stop en route to Flagstaff where we have dinner that night. And obviously coming back to Sedona each and every night allows you to settle in and unpack your suitcase there. We also do another great train trip, and that is the Verde Canyon Railroad. And that goes through some of the more lush stretches of Arizona. So really beautiful greenery, as well as a creek that flows through it. And this is a really first-class experience as we travel on a first-class train car, very comfortable seating, and that also connects to an open-air car with a naturalist on board. So we have 3 departures left for the year, September 21st, October 19th, and November 2nd. Those first 2 are limited availability, so only a handful of spots left per departure. And then November 2nd is wide open. So pick and choose your date out of the 3 of those, but make sure you don't wait because they will fill up. Another program that's filled up and done really well for its first year is our West Virginia Rails and Williamsburg. Now, this trip is brand new. Already we've had October 9th sold out, and the September 25th and October 2nd are also close to that point, which is why we added another date, and we added October 16th onto that, with only about 8 to 10 spots left on either the September and early October departures. With this tour, we'll fly into D.C., to Washington, D.C., and spend the evening doing an illuminations tour of the nation's monuments. And from there, we'll head down towards the town of Elkins in West Virginia, and that's where we spend 2 nights. And we incorporate 2 great train rides on this experience. One is the Potomac Eagle Scenic Train, or Railroad, and that's a restored train car that travels through the valley, and you get to see the home or the nestings of bald eagles. And then we also work our way out on the new Tigert Flyer. And this is another wonderful diesel train engine and a great train experience through the countryside of West Virginia. From Elkins, we'll head down to the Greenbrier and the beautiful resort that dates back to as old as our country, 1776. And in the basement of the Greenbrier is an incredible bunker that was built in. And that was built for the diplomats of Washington, D.C., if anything were to happen in the nation's capital. But we'll get to see that the bunker, as well as the resort in our one night there. And then on our way towards the coastline, we will stop in Monticello. And this was home of Thomas Jefferson and his estate. So you'll learn about his life and times. And then continuing into Williamsburg, that's where we spend 3 nights. And we get to enjoy a trip around the Revolution. So we learn all about colonial Williamsburg and incorporate Yorktown's battlefield. Then we also do the Revolution Museum as part of this. So 3 great nights in the Williamsburg area before heading back to DC and flying out from there. So great program, departing September 25th, October 2nd, and October 16th. Our Tuscany culinary experience is another one of my favorites, and this is a great international experience, especially for your first time going over to Europe, because it really does allow you to settle in to start out with. You first get a chance to get comfortable in Italy by flying into Florence, and we spend our first 5 nights out in the Tuscan hills. And so it's a beautiful rolling hill structure with all sorts of vineyards and olive groves all around us. And once we arrive, we'll do a welcome dinner. And then we also incorporate day 3. So you arrive overnight on a flight and arrive the second day, settle in, and then day 3 is nice and easy. We incorporate a cooking class with a pasta maker, as well as a wine tasting incorporated in that. And so you get a chance to get your hands dirty, playing around with some pastas, and have a wonderful lunch incorporated with that, as well as a number of great tastings throughout. Then from there, we go over to a olive oil vineyard, plantation. And so you'll see the process from the time they pick the olives all the way till the time they press them. And you'll learn the difference of extra virgin olive oil and also get to try some great olive oils throughout that experience. We do a number of great meals on this program, 14 meals incorporated because it is culinary focused. So all of our breakfasts are included. We have 4 dinners and some wonderful lunches. One of those lunches is at a saffron producing farmhouse, and that is right near San Gimignano, which is pictured in the upper left. And this is a farmhouse that produces saffron and incorporates it with pastas. So we'll have a great lunch with saffron. Generally, they'll do a saffron gnocchi, which is a potato pasta, and some great appetizers and components that go along with it, along with wine. Then we do a wonderful Tuscan farmhouse dinner, and we also incorporate a truffle demonstration. So you'll learn all about the truffle hunting process, and then have some great items incorporating truffles. Black truffles are the most expensive, but there's a number of types of truffle throughout Italy, and they hunt them out under the oak trees with dogs that know the scent and can lead the way. And then we also continue out to Siena. We do a great walking tour and learn all about the plague that took place in Italy in the 1300s. You'll learn about the beautiful cathedral and the Il Palio horse race, and that takes place every summer in Siena. Then we continue out to Lake Trasimeno, and this is a beautiful lake in the Umbria region. And while we're there, we get to take a boat ride out on the lake and have a lunch on one of the small islands out there at a wonderful little restaurant. So as we work our way out of the Tuscan hills and into the Tuscan cities, we'll see San Gimignano, which is where we'll do a great gelato tasting, and then into Florence, where we spend our last 2 nights. And that is a wonderful city, a very walkable city. Again, some of the highlights in Florence are the Duomo, the Ponte Vecchio, which is the old bridge and the only bridge remaining since before World War II. And then, of course, Michelangelo's David. And we'll go into the Accademia, the beautiful museum, and learn all about the prisoner statues as well as the David. So great program all in all. We also offer a 3-night extension down to Rome. And so we'll drive by motor coach, stop in Assisi, and then spend 3 nights in the Eternal City, getting to see Vatican museums, as well as a city tour in Rome as part of that optional extension. And with the Pope just being announced, it's a really interesting time. Not only was it a Jubilee year for the Catholic Church, but also having a new Pope is very exciting. And so a lot of hustle and bustle going on in Rome at this time. Another great program focusing on Italy is the southern portion of Italy, and that's the Amalfi Coast. And so we'll fly in and out of Rome on this program. We'll work our way down to the south and visit a number of great sites, including Pompeii and Positano and some of the small towns along the coast. And our hub will be in the Sorrento area. Now, we have 2 departures remaining. One is October 21st and the other November 5th. But this is one of April's favorite trips, and she does a great job in coordinating a lot of our office staff and different components within our company. And so her selections mean a lot. She does a great job with what she does, and we really value her experience with everything. On this program, we also incorporated a stop or an optional tour to Naples and then out to the Isle of Capri. Now, the coastline is beautiful, but the island of Capri is just absolutely stunning. And I highly recommend going out there as long as the water's calm. So once we make our way out on a boat, it's an optional tour, and it's about a 45-minute cruise out to the island. We'll also incorporate a cheese tasting, as well trying some limoncello, which is a lemon-style liqueur. So great experience going out to the south. Generally better weather, especially into later October, and a wonderful tour all in all. Our Kenya Safari program has just gone through the roof in the last year and a half, especially. But this is such a wonderful destination. It incorporates so many great animal sightings, as well round-trip airfare into Nairobi. So that'll be our hub for our first night as we arrive. We also work our way to the south, and en route to the Amboseli National Park, we'll also stop at the Jane Goodall Chimpanzee Center and learn all about the preservation and sanctuary for these beautiful animals. One of the other great stops along that route is going to the Giraffe Center, and that is where we'll be up on a pillar, kind of on a setting that's equal to the height of these giraffes. And so you can get a kiss from a giraffe, you can feed the giraffes, and it really does bring to light these animals and their lifestyles as well. So as they're returned to health and set back into the wild, they're kept there until they're fully healthy. In Amboseli National Park, this is a highlight for folks getting to see elephants. And there are several herds with over 100 elephants within them. So wonderful sightseeing for animals throughout that park. Not only the elephants, but also lions, as well zebras. And then you'll see some ostrich, hopefully, as well throughout that program. Once we make our way from Nairobi and head north, we'll also stay at the Mount Kenya Safari Club. And you might not think of it when you look at Kenya. You might think about the desolate areas of staying, but our hotels on this program are really wonderful. So we have a couple of different Fairmont properties that we utilize, one in Nairobi and the Mount Kenya Safari Club, which has great amenities as well. And that's where we'll stay for one night before heading up to the Samburu National Reserve. And so again, a great animal sightseeing experience. We have over 10 game drives on this tour. So that's when we're getting onto these Jeeps and specialized vehicles and going out sightseeing for the animals. And when we say game drives, we're not hunting. This is not a hunting experience. It's all sightseeing. And these animals are primarily in the wild, with the exception of the Giraffe Center and the Chimpanzee Center. So we'll get a chance to see Mount Kilimanjaro on this program as well. And then the Karen Blixen home. And she was a Danish author who married a Swede, and they started a coffee plantation right outside Nairobi. And in 1914, it was one of the largest estates in the country. From there, we'll continue out to the Masai Mara National Reserve, another great spot for sightseeing and wildlife. And this departure is November 6th, and it's guaranteed with limited space, so only about a handful of seats remaining on this program. 13 days, including airfare, and 10 nights throughout Kenya. But we get to time this in a time with the where the Great Migration's already taken place, so the animals have already come back from Tanzania. Another wonderful program in Europe is Dave's pick, David Robertson in our air department, and that is our Spain and Portugal highlights tour. And I second this with Dave. It's a wonderful itinerary. We fly into Lisbon and start 2 nights in the city of Lisbon. And this is an incredible city center. As well, it's got a bridge that's almost identical to the Golden Gate. Within Lisbon, we'll do a city tour. We'll get to see the harbor and the bay, as well incorporating a fado show. And fado means fate in Portuguese. So we'll learn all about the sailors and learn the stories and songs of the Portugal strength, which was their sailing fleet. Then we head from Lisbon out to Evora, and Evora is home of some incredible Roman ruins, as well as a beautiful cathedral there. So we'll get a chance to see those. And then making our way into Spain, we spend 2 nights in the great city of Seville. And Seville's cathedral is one of the largest in the world, and we'll see that on our city tour there. Then it's off to Granada, and from Granada, we'll get a chance to see the Alhambra Palace. It's an amazing sight, and here's an image real quick of the palace itself sitting up on the hill overlooking the city and the mountains in the backdrop. So in Granada, we'll do a city tour there, and then it's off to Toledo. And Toledo not only has a beautiful cathedral, it's also home to marzipan, or one of the original creators of marzipan, which is that great almond paste treat that's usually incorporated into chocolates. From there, out to Madrid. And for those that are just doing the main program, you would fly home after our 2-night stay in Madrid with our city tour. Or you can continue on for a 2-night extension by high-speed rail out to Barcelona. And Barcelona is such an incredible artist city. A great art surrounding the city itself, as well as within the architecture. And we'll also provide an optional out to Montserrat from there. But this one heads out November 6th, and it is guaranteed already. And then our last international program is our highlights of the Douro with Spain. And this is a choice by Matt Kennel, our president. As well, I really highlight this program especially. This is an incredible river cruise experience where we're on a beautiful ship with about 110 passengers total. So not a big crowd, not like those big ocean liners. And it also highlights our new ship, and that is the Riviera Rose. It was just launched into the water for the first time this month. We do have 2 different departure dates. One is November 3rd, and there's limited cabins remaining on that as it's sold very well already. And then our November 10th is guaranteed as well. And so there's a little bit more space, more selection available on that one. But again, November 3rd, getting to the point where it's starting to fill up. This is a wonderful 7-night cruise on the Riviera Rose, and we incorporate 8 tours on this program. So just to give you an idea of what the ship looks like, these are the suites. And so you can see the TV that separates the bedroom from the living area or the living space. And then it does have a sitting balcony. So you can open the sliding glass door and sit out on your balcony in a private setting. The suites are the first to go usually, and there's only a handful of suites on each departure. And then our lower category is our categories E and D. Those have a picture window in the upper portion of the wall. Again, that window is above the water level. I get asked a lot about that, but it is above the water level there. These are for great pricings if you're looking for a lower cost cabin. And again, you're not spending a lot of time in your cabin itself. Most of the activities and everything else take place out and about on board the ship or the excursions themselves. Now, on board the ship is also a wonderful lounge with a bar. So great opportunity to grab drinks. And that's another great aspect of this program, is that beer and wine is included throughout the trip on the cruise. And then spirits are included from 6 o'clock onward in the evening. We have a wonderful dining room on board the ship, and it really provides a great experience for meals. And they do a great job on their culinary team, providing some exceptional dinners, lunches, and breakfasts. Getting into some of the sightseeing, our first stop as we arrive is Porto. And the city of Porto, which is a great stop. We'll get to do a city tour here, get to see the stock exchange building, and then some of the surrounding areas. And it really is an incredible place to visit. Number of bridges throughout, and this is really the entry port of the Douro River. And speaking of that incredible river, this is one of the most beautiful sightseeing rivers in all of Europe. If you've been along the Rhine and seen the incredible terraced vineyards through the Rhine, this is even more dramatic in terms of the height of the hills and the astounding number of vineyards all along the stretch. So they're producing both port wines as well as red and white wines. As we travel further, we'll go out to Castello Rodrigo. And this is an amazing site to take hold, dating to the 1200s, and a wonderful little castle up on the top of the hill looking out over the valley. Salamanca was a really big highlight when Matt Kennel and I took this experience a couple of years ago. and we work our way into the Plaza Mayor, and that's the main square in Salamanca. This is a full day tour. So we leave the ship in the early morning, right around 8 o'clock, make our way out to Salamanca and spend the day there. And that includes lunch while we're in Salamanca. We'll have a guided tour. You'll get to see one of the oldest universities in the entire world, dating back to 1218. And the Old Town and Plaza Mayor are also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Not only the university, but also the cathedral, and that dates back to the 1200s as well. So really incredible architecture and design within that cathedral. We'll visit Lamego and this beautiful chapel up on the hill. And along the steps there are a number of segments of tile, blue and white tile, that really bring to life these stairs. Now you can walk down the stairs. There are about 626 of them, or take the vehicle, take the bus all the way around. So if you don't walk much, you can use that option as well. But it is a really beautiful stop along the way. And then the Mateusz Palace. This is an incredible 1700s palace and estate. In the front, you have this massive pond or pool, and has a statue right in the center of it. And then in the back of the palace are these amazing gardens. And this landscape garden goes on and on. You can see the large tree in the backdrop. You can actually walk through that series of trees back to another segment of the gardens. One of the unique aspects of this program, most of the river cruises have their meals on board the ship. And for this experience, we have 2 meals that are out and about, 3 actually. I mentioned the Salamanca lunch, but we go out to a quinta for both a lunch and a dinner. And the dinner is at Quinta de Pacheca, and this is one of the oldest quintas. Now, quintas are farmhouses in some senses, wineries, but small areas that have estate vineyards in most cases, and they produce some incredible wines. So we'll have dinner with a wine tasting incorporated in that experience. And then we also go out to a port winery, and this is a great opportunity to try port. It's a fortified wine, meaning the percentage of alcohol is quite a bit higher, and usually considered as a dessert wine. But there are about 3 or 4 different styles, and the ages of the ports are quite unique. And a lot of the port wineries, they have wines dating back to the 1800s. I'd love to crack one of those bottles open. Our Smoky Mountains and Pigeon Forge holiday is a choice by Joe in our sales team, and he absolutely loves this trip. It's a very successful trip as well when it comes to all the activities and all the amenities that are incorporated on the sightseeing. So with this tour, departing December 7th, we head into Knoxville, and that is the home of the University of Tennessee. We spend 4 nights in the city of Pigeon Forge and get to do a number of great excursions from there. We'll head off into North Carolina, and that's where we see the Biltmore Estate. And specific to the holidays, they have over 100 Christmas trees all over the property at the Biltmore. And it's a beautiful experience to take that in. We'll also incorporate lunch with that, and you'll get a chance to see not only the interior, but also the gardens as we explore. Then we'll head into Gatlinburg, and that's a great spot for a number of activities that we have incorporated. We'll see the Dollywood performance, Dollywood Holidays show, as well as the Country Tonight performance based around the holidays. So 2 live shows on this tour. And then in the Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg areas, we'll do a moonshine tasting. And so you get a chance to try some of the local product. And then we also take you to the Titanic Museum. And that's where you'll get a boarding pass of one of the passengers from the Titanic and learn their story along the way. But we'll have free time both in Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. And then we visit Dollywood for a great experience for the holidays. They have it all decorated and lit up throughout the holiday season. And so we take that in as well. But this one is guaranteed on December 7th. So this is the Country Tonight holiday performance, and we get to take that in as attendees. And then the interior of the Titanic Museum and the Grand Staircase all covered up and surrounded for the holidays. For this show specifically, if you do book a new 2025 tour or European river cruise by Friday, May 23rd, we are reducing the deposit bringing that down to $250 for both domestic and international tours. And you must purchase your travel insurance with that for that $250 to apply. But normally our domestic tours are $400 deposit and our international are $600. So this provides a savings up front, and then the rest can be taken care of at final payment or broken down along the way. And final payment is due 90 days prior to departure. Our one cabin category upgrade is also available on our highlights of the Douro and any of the available river cruises left. And again, the river cruises have mostly sold out, so there's limited space on those. But this category upgrade allows you to book a lower category at a lower cost and get upgraded to the category above it. Again, a value of $200 to $400 per person. I usually recommend booking the category D and being upgraded to C, or going from B to A. And the only categories not available for those upgrades are the suites. But you would use the code STAFFPICS for these discounts, and those are available till next Friday, May 23rd. Now, how you can book is calling our reservations team, 1-800-369-3693, and talking to any of our representatives, Joe, Holly, April, or Sam. And their emails are below, their first name at afctours.com. Or you can also visit our website, and we put out those brochures every 2 months with updates. So you'll see new departures with guaranteed status, as well as new trips coming out regularly. Now, we'll also have our 2026 lineup coming up soon, so look out for that. And we hope to have another virtual travel show before the end of the month. From all of us at AFC, we appreciate your time. Thank you all for traveling with us. And if you haven't traveled with us before, please give us the chance. We've had great reviews throughout the years and a solid return of travelers coming back to us every single year. So thank you all, and we look forward to our next travels with you. Have a great day.